If you look on Google Maps just off the coast of the Isle of Sheppey in the Thames estuary, you'll see a pin for a historical landmark with 17 reviews. However, you can't visit, not just because it's at sea, but because it's within an exclusion zone intended to protect London's Thames estuary from an apocalyptic tsunami. This looming threat is called the SS Richard Montgomery, and there is at the moment nothing that can be done about it. The SS Richard Montgomery was a Liberty class of cargo ship built during the Second World War to transport weapons and goods for the US. The class of ship was originally a British concept for a cheap mass-produced cargo vessel, but was refined under the impressive industrial scale of 1940s America. By the end of the war, around 2,710 would be built, essentially making the vessel somewhat disposable. Understandable, as during the Battle of the Atlantic, freight vessel losses were unprecedented at the hands of the German U-boats. The SS Richard Montgomery was laid down at St. John's River Shipbuilding Company in Jacksonville, Florida, in March 1943, being launched in May the same year and being finished in July. Kind of shows how quickly these ships were being churned out. Displacing 14,474 tonnes with a length of 128.8 metres, she sported 2 oil-fuel steam engines and held a complement of 35 personnel. The ship was named after Irish soldier Richard Montgomery, who was killed during the American War for Independence. Roll on 1944 and the Richard Montgomery's final voyage. She was loaded with around 7,000 tonnes of munitions at Hog Island, Philadelphia, and under the command of Captain Wilkie, her journey across the Atlantic was relatively uneventful, reaching the Thames estuary later on in the month to form part of a convoy to Cherbourg. Under the orders of the King's Harbour Master from HMS Lee, which was not actually a ship but a commandeered Southend pier, she was ordered to drop anchor just off the coast of the North Sands of the Isle of Sheppey, around 1.5 miles from Sheerness, which is around here on the map. See, this is a bit of a mistake, as at the low tide the depth of the water was around 30 feet, and the Richard Montgomery drew just over 31 feet. I think we can see where this is going. In the early morning of the 20th of August, the Richard Montgomery was seen by lookouts on ships moored nearby, swinging towards the shoal. Warning sirens sounded by the ships were not heeded by Chief Officer on watch aboard the Richard Montgomery. No effort was made to even wake the captain to try and rectify the impending disaster. Soon enough the ship was pushed onto the Sheerness Middle Sands, straining the vessel. Worse still, as the tide ebbed, the ship rested on the seabed, causing some of her plates to buckle under her own weight, cracking her hull, making gunshot sounds as rivets pinged out. Quickly, life rafts were released from the Richard Montgomery as the crew took their chance to escape the stranded ship, kind of understandably, as who would want to be on board a potential bomb as it starts to break open. Sat stranded on the sands, the earliest time she could be refloated would be in a whopping 2 weeks' time, and even then only if most of her cargo was removed. A Rochester-based company was drafted in to unload the dangerous cargo from the Richard Montgomery, and works began on the 23rd, making use of her own unloading machinery. Just 1 day later would see the hull crack, allowing some of the ship to flood. Even though the ship was breaking up, salvage efforts carried on right the way into September, eventually being abandoned on the 25th. Around 1,400 tonnes of munitions remained on board the stranded and half-sunken ship. In an inquest into the accident, Captain Wilkie was acquitted of any blame due to not being aware of running aground because of being asleep. Most of the blame was laid at the feet of the harbour master. Now fast forward to today, how much risk does the Richard Montgomery pose on London right now? So Mrs. Plainly and I decided to go to the Isle of Sheppey so you don't have to, in an attempt to see the SS Richard Montgomery in the flesh. Well, as you can see, we went on a bit of a road trip in vain, as you can only see what might be the ship's mast in the distance. This was due to a bit of fog on what was an otherwise sunny day. So the wreck is at a depth of 15 metres, leaning to a starboard side. It is thought that she still holds 286 2,000-pound high explosive bombs, 4,439 1,000-pound bombs, 1,925 500-pound bombs, 2,815 fragmentation bombs and bomb clusters, as well as other various flares, charges and fuses. Because of the amount of ordnance still sitting in the Thames estuary, an exclusion zone was placed around the wreck in 1973, as surveys had suggested that detonation could be caused by a collision, obviously something you don't want. This then leads us to the question of why hasn't the mess of the Richard Montgomery been cleaned up? Seeming bizarre choice of doing nothing might sound odd, but there is a genuine fear of detonation caused by any cleanup works. This fear is based on a 1967 cleanup effort of a Polish munitions ship sunk off the coast of Folkestone in 1946. The recovery works set off the munitions aboard, creating an explosion measuring 4.5 on the Richter scale, creating a 6-metre deep crater on the seabed. It was thought that the amount of explosives were around a quarter of that on board the Richard Montgomery. It is thought that if the Richard Montgomery were to detonate, a 1,000 feet wide column of debris and water would be launched 10,000 feet into the air, also creating a 16 feet high tidal wave. Although it wouldn't create as much devastation as the Halifax explosion, damages could run into the millions, as the Thames estuary is one of the busiest shipping lanes in Western Europe. To add insult to injury, leaving the wreck itself is a dead-end option as well, due to the explosives on the ship herself becoming more unstable over time. The copper in the explosives has caused concern, as it can react with the lead, creating copper azide, a deadly and sensitive explosive. This worry has been somewhat debunked by the Maritime Agency, saying, as the fuses will probably have been flooded for many years and the sensitive compounds referred to are soluble in water, this is no longer considered to be a significant hazard. But the use of the word probably doesn't give the highest level of confidence. I'll leave it up to you guys and gals to decide on that. It was predicted in a 2012 report that if she were to explode, then a smaller tidal wave of around 1 metre would emit from the epicentre. Although not catastrophic, it could still flood many places on the estuary, which, needless to say, if you live there, would be pretty bad. Although you can't visit the stranded vessel, you can visit some of her reviews online, which are rather amusing to say the least. Pretty much, the explosive situation has turned into a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Good job they never ended up building that airport there. The last month has been crazy. We just hit 50,000 subscribers, and thank you all so much for your support. I'm thinking of doing a Q&A to celebrate this, so submit any questions in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and share it. It really helps spread the awareness of the channel. I've also dug out my rarely used Twitter, which I'll be posting random facts regularly from now on. Also, if you'd like to support the channel financially, I've got a Patreon and all the links are in the description below. And all that's left to say is thank you for watching.